All right, welcome back. Welcome back. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, back to another episode of the Masterful Conversations podcast, where we discuss leadership from the perspective of the men who have served or are currently serving as worshipful master in a regular lodge of free and accepted Masons. I am Brother Matthew Wagstaff, a past master of Eureka Lodge number 36 out of Rochester, New York. We're currently serving as my worshipful master is Brother Jermaine Myers, and I'm with.
I am past master Mark Alexander out of Sons of Kings Law number 123, Brooklyn, New York. Where currently Brother Kevin Parker serves as my worshipful master.
Yes, sir. We both hail from the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of the state of New York. We're currently serving as our Grand Master is most worshipful, Darren M. Morton. And so today, we don't have a special guest today, but you got us, and we're going to talk about some things that we've been chatting about on our private chats and text messages and things of that nature
Hmm.
about leadership, definitely from our perspective. But before we get into that, real quick, let's do announcements and then we'll do disclaimer.
First, we want to give a major congratulations to the newest lodge in Prince Hall family under the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge in New York, which is Primus Lodge number 128 out of the Bronx, New York. Proud of these brothers, and I look forward to the growth and the leadership that will come out that lodge.
Absolutely, congratulations, Primus. We saw it from the beginning. So much love there. Also want to give a huge congratulations to on the OES side to Shiloh, Chapter 84, Order Eastern Star Prince Hall affiliated out of the 7th District, which is Western New York side, as out of Amherst. I think they're meeting out of Amherst, New York, which is a suburb of Buffalo, New York. So congratulations, Shiloh. Looking forward to working with you out here in the 7th District alongside with the brothers. So again, congratulations, Primus 128 and Shiloh 84.
Man, I just thought of one other thing. I don't know if I mentioned it before. No, we think we've been on here since the pre-council session, but if I didn't, I'll just say it again. I'm going to give congratulations to my worshipful master, Kevin Parker, but for receiving his 33rd degree, becoming a Grand Inspector General.
Mm, yes, yes. Congratulations, my double brother now as well. My
Yeah,
double brother now.
yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, brother Parker is working. He's working in the
Hmm.
craft.
Definitely
Much love
is.
to the brother for sure.
Hmm.
Cool. All right. Disclaimer.
The views and opinions on this show are our own, is not hold the views and opinions of our largest, grand largest. The purpose of the show is for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you have any questions and opinions, please ask the respective officers in your jurisdiction.
Definitely. Today we're going to talk about leadership from the lens of how the leaders help provide clarity and simplify things. And so, Mark, you could share a little bit of the context too. But from my perspective, we get into these group chats, we get into these conversations um, online around what's going right, what's going wrong, what we could be doing different, what's the next thing we need to be focused on. And sometimes we get into these, at least from my perspective, in my opinion, we get into these situations where we might be overcooking the food a little bit and making things more complex than they actually need to be. Some things aren't as deep as we try to make them sometimes, and so I'm texting Mark back and forth, or we're texting each other back and forth about a situation, and I'm just like, I think we overdoing it on this one, and sometimes we
Mhm.
may be, sometimes we may not be, but I think it's important for us to talk about that in the vein of leadership. So, Mark, what do you think about that?
I agree with what you're saying. It's for the most part, sometimes you just gotta. I was a meme I seen before. I know I posted it about. Sometimes we just gotta make the circle. Don't worry about making it perfect at another time, but just start the circle. Stop all the talking, get something in motion, and get that
Yes.
circle going, and then we can get it completed and perfect at another time. You know, but the action, especially with Masons, that we're about action. We're
Hmm.
about the actual work. If you ain't working, it's a Masonic offense if you
Mm,
understand your opening and closing your lodge. Um, yeah, just get to action and you work through it. And the simple way might be the easiest way sometimes.
Definitely. I seem like a lot of the work is in the conversation.
Hmm.
And right, conversation is important. And at the same time, like sometimes the answer has already been told or it's like right there in your fingertips, but you
Hmm.
want another answer. And so we just
Hmm.
keep talking about it until we get to the answer that you may want to hear. And so to your point, like let's just take some action. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good and
Hmm.
just, just get something started. There was a question about like recognition and modes of recognition and what's secret and masonry and all these things.
Hmm.
Without
Hmm.
and we don't need to get into the detail about that, but it's I thought it was a relatively straightforward answer in that space, but we it was about 50 some odd messages afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We got
I
to a
mean,
point.
it mainly comes down to communication, of course, and brothers got to learn how to communicate clearly. I know sometimes on chats things can get convoluted, and we do understand that. But for the most part, we have to use our several liberal arts and sciences, get our grammar going. One thing, speaking of that, now, again, I'm gonna mention the book now. While I was on my mind. I'm reading a book called Manhood and Masonry by past master Mike Epps in Florida, in which he uses the several liberal arts and sciences and explains how, we should be as a man in masonry. And one of the main things, of course, the first one is grammar. And he mentioned something that I ain't ever think about before. And I think like, I even asked my wife about it. She didn't think about it that way too. We tend to think about grammar as something written and not spoken.
Mm,
You know, but speaking in grammar is the same thing because that's how you get your messages across.
mm,
So people can understand that's the way you're going, where you pause at, what you emphasize in your speech also. So grammar comes into play when it comes to those things too, when they're communicating. So we do have to make sure that that's conveyed properly, and as leaders especially, because we the one as worship master, we are setting the craft at work. So if you set the craft at
mm,
work and they don't understand what they supposed to do, there's going to be confusion in the craft. So, so you definitely have to make
mm,
sure that you come across proper grammar, that your message is logical. That's the second step. Make sure
mm,
everything makes sense so people can understand it clearly, you know. And then you have to speak with good rhetoric so that they know the message you're trying to convey, and that will help actually motivate them to do what they need to do if you use those three things in order to get your craft going. Um, those are extremely important. A lot of times we talk about um, what we need to do to change the craft, or brothers ain't doing this, brothers ain't doing that. So the question is, what are you doing? What are you saying? How are you saying it to help motivate these people?
mm.
That's where the rhetoric comes in into play. Like, what exactly are you saying? Are you being too harsh? Are you being too soft? You have to know your and you always say on this show, knowing your members is very important, and
Hmm.
that's another reason why it's important. I actually had a conversation with a sister about that today. um, I found a picture online or whatever about how to treat sisters. So I sent it to her. We having a chat or whatever, and she was saying, that she was gonna hold off on it till maybe she get to the East. And I was like, all right, well, I mean, it's all good, It's like I don't know. Till she explained why, I'm like, okay, I get it. Because I can't handle what I do in my lodge ain't gonna work in your lodge. It ain't gonna
Hmm.
work in your church. So you also have to know your people and how to approach things sometimes. So things can be a little bit different when it comes to that. So in all that, I know I said a lot, and I hope I stuck to the point and everybody was clear and logical what I said.
No, man. I think at the end of the day, the way you talked about our liberal arts and science, again, this is a simple answer. It's like if you're
Hmm.
gonna be in this craft, we talk
Hmm.
about being master craftsmen,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So how do we master our craft? We study the principles that are given to us.
Yes.
If we keep it just that simple,
Hmm.
knowing that it's a lot to unpack in that. But if we
Hmm.
start trying to go outside of what's already there, it's like everything we need to know in this craft, in my
Hmm.
opinion, and I think others agree, is
Hmm.
already written.
Yes, definitely.
It's already written. So it's just a matter of us picking up the book and actually diving into it and then practicing it in our real life. Like how do you become a master of anything is you study it, you apply it, then you teach it to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a matter of that patience and understanding. And ideally, in the ideal world, we know this doesn't happen. The worshipful master is supposed to be, the leader in that regard has mastered the
Mm-hmm.
craft because they've gone through the chairs, they've gone through the time to learn the craft and to study to show themselves approved. And so they should be able to um, teach the things that are helping their lives to grow. And part of that is understanding the liberal arts and sciences, understanding the working tools, amongst other things. And so um, for me, it's about just mastering the craft. And that's a lifelong journey. I don't think we ever get there or we arrive, so to speak. It's always a journey. And as a leader, though, you have sort of like an extra duty to use those tools to help
Mm-hmm.
exemplify and to just support and enable your the folks who are coming behind you. Because you got folks like, for example, like a leader, as an example, can provide some clarity in a very confusing situation. Because ideally, the leader's coming with a vision. So how clear can they make that vision so that at the end of the day, people understand what it is and can actually take action? If there's some challenges going on, how specific can the leader make what the situation is? How specific can they be? They don't want to be all over the place. How can we hone in on it? Like, this is what we need to focus in on. That's another thing that we get caught up in trying to solve everything at the same time. Can we hone in on one thing, finish that, and then move on to something else, or give the other thing to somebody else? But providing that clarity by removing the other distractions that
That's
come
definitely
up,
very much true.
for sure.
And I mean, and the brothers that know me, that's one thing I'm big at, and making sure everybody understand the situation that's happening right now, and bring the clarity to the situation. Because sometimes, I mean, I might not, I personally might be like almost there with clarity, and I'm like, all right, I might could figure it out for myself, but then I'll ask a question, because if I have a question on it, somebody else has a question on it. So I always try to make sure that it's clear for everybody, so they can move on to the action part, and not be all over the place with it if we actually need to understand that. I do want to get back to your point when it comes to honing, like we already have the answer within the ritual. Because that was another conversation that came up in the chats when I had posted a question about if it was one Masonic book that you would recommend to somebody, the only one you could recommend. And
Mm,
our former guest, Patrick Reiner, said The Ritual, which I always thought that was a given. But, as he said, just like you said, um, brothers try to look for other things without skipping over the actual ritual first. And I know for myself, like I said, I thought it was a given, because automatically the rituals first, and then I go to the other things, and then even when I see other things or read other things, I refer it back to the ritual, so I
mm,
can give me the clearer understanding of the ritual, because that's the purpose here. It ain't just really about like that book. All these books outside of the actual ritual are supposed to bring you clarity about the ritual, so
right.
that you can use that knowledge in order to better yourself and your family and the world. That's what it is more than anything else. And it might make you think about something in a different manner, because a lot of the times, like, we see things one way because that's the way we talk about it in the ritual all the time. Say like passions, right? In the ritual, we tend to talk about passions as negative all the time. But
Mm,
passions can be viewed as positive when you go outside of the ritual, and then you can bring it back to the ritual, and then be like, oh, I can see it from a different way, in
mm,
order to get a different motivation out of that. And then that different motivation can actually lean on somebody else. As a leader, you could motivate somebody else from that different perspective, you know. So that's the way that's the reason why I actually like going to books outside of the ritual, just to get
hmm.
further clarity and understanding. Because as we know, our book is almost like a philosophy book. The ritual is like a philosophy book. It don't give you
Mm,
real answers. It's up to you to
mm.
interpret this. You know what I mean? Some things are straightforward, of course, but then some things are
Yeah.
really up to interpretation. So it's good to see the other interpretations, and that's what help you grow. Like I have one of the candidates. Well, he's now a fellow craft that I recommended to my lodge. And I hit him the other day. I said, what you came here to do, said his answer. And then I said, can't do that without having Masonic discourse with brothers. you
Gotta
know.
talk. Can't just be in your own room, just hanging out solo. No,
Exactly. This is a
Masonry is about coming together,
social
men coming together.
intercourse. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what we talk about of social virtues. And brothers never look that up. Look that word up. Look the
Mm,
words up. So see what it is. Social virtues. That we need to. We're human beings, so we're gonna have basic human traits. We are social beings as
yeah.
humans, so we definitely need to do that. And emotions come into the effect too. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
If I could go to like switch side a little bit, but it's on the same
I want to
token. Yeah,
talk
yeah,
real
go,
quick. Just
go. Yep.
make a note on that. I want to talk on that emotional piece just real fast
Yep,
because
I'm on the same thing. Yeah.
just as a
hmm
solution to
hmm
that. So we get caught up in the text messaging a lot,
hmm
and I'm having some. I might be freezing up a little bit on my side,
Yeah, a little bit. I
but
got you.
you get caught up
hmm
in text messaging, a lot of digital media,
hmm
um, and I think tone and intent could get taken can can be misunderstood in text. So
hmm
as a leader, when it goes to that point, I like how how you and I will chat offline about something if
Yeah.
instead of it being like just to get some clarity
Yeah.
around certain
hmm
things or
hmm
what I've
Definitely.
done in the past, even at work,
hmm
just as a leader or trying to show up as a leader in spaces, just to pick up the phone and have that conversation. And again, it goes back to what you always say, and our guests always say, like, know the brother, um, have a relationship with the brother so that you can pick up the phone and say, like, I saw what you wrote, but I don't believe that you meant it this way. Can you, clarify a little bit? Because, we
hmm
get caught up in our feelings and
hmm
that could be harmful to the progress we're trying to make. So if there is ever a doubt in what a brother is meaning by the words he types, I would encourage us as leaders in the craft to be willing to pick up the phone and just have a conversation, or hit them back channel, just to
Yep.
double check. Like if you don't want to just double check in with everybody listening or watching, send another message and say, I saw what you wrote. Did you mean this? And
hmm
then maybe get some clarity that way. But I think that's another key thing that leadership is about testing, understanding, making sure that everybody's on the same page. And the way to get on the same page is sometimes just by asking, like, is this what you meant?
Definitely.
This is what I took from what you wrote. Is that what
Definitely.
you meant? And then let them say what it was.
And with that, it actually helps build trust. And that's another thing that we need to do as leaders. So even just going to the side instead of exposing the whole conversation to the world, that to some people that makes a big difference. So sometimes you got to take the step back and do that. But we need to, especially with brothers you don't know, to have some type of, we should with Masons have take everything with a grain of salt, and we shouldn't think that brothers are really trying to hurt you.
Mm.
Well, sometimes we have our outside attitudes, especially as brothers from New York. you know you know everybody's out to get you. It didn't
Ooh, yeah,
necessarily be
yeah.
that.
It's a different breed. Yeah, like whoa, man.
you know, it might necessarily be that inside the craft. We just doing coming across a certain way. So sometimes it's better just to have that side conversation, just to get clarity to make sure we all good. And then sometimes you know your brother. This is just how your brother is, and he ain't. Unfortunately, some brothers aren't going to change, even though I don't see the point of being here if you aren't going to change. Because we supposed to be changing, become a good people,
Mhm.
involving whatever you want, yours, you want word. But that's a different story. But yeah, you should know who the person is, and then you know how far to go with certain things or whatever. Because actually, like, I do have a brother that I basically gave up on as far as I'm
Mm.
not as far I'll talk to him, you all cool and stuff like that. But there might be like a situation where if he say something, I'm like, it'd be a waste of my breath to try to check him or get type of clarity from because he gonna stand on it no matter what. And yeah, I'm not gonna get the clarity. I tried a few times. So I know to just move on with that. And that's because of knowing the brother. And I love him. He's still my brother. I just gotta handle him in that particular way. Um, what I was gonna say about the emotional part, which I was gonna go a little different way, but um, again from the book this morning, it brought out something that I ain't never thought about before. Is because it said logic isn't cold. most of the time we think about logic being cold, but
Hmm.
as it made me think about when we make illogical decisions, especially with we are all human beings, we have to keep in mind emotions, your own, the people you're dealing with, and things like that to approach it in a certain way in order to get the best result. Because the bottom line is we want to get the best result. Whatever the situation is, we want to get the best result we can get. So you have to just keep the emotions in mind. Not saying that that's the baseline of what you're doing, but you got to realize, okay, well, this brother right here, I know he's very emotional. So I just can't come across straight with him. I might have to handle it, different way, and that's just that's what I mean by putting emotion into factor of your logic. Because you have to make the logical decisions here based on all the information you have in order to give you that best framework, in order to get the best results that you want. So logic um, can involve emotions.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have the arts and sciences, right? So
Yeah.
some things are science based, something very factual, hard. Arts a little bit more subjective, loose,
Mhm.
more Philly. So absolutely. I mean, that balance, that duality, we learned that all through Masonry about having that balance and not just being stuck in one way. Just like you say, if the brother's not trying to grow, then this is a craft that's all about growing. I mean, that's fundamentally the purpose of this is to grow
Hmm.
together so we can build that house. So no, I think you're spot on about that for sure.
I always say, no matter how old, I mean, my personal thing is like, you've been in the craft for at least 5 years. There should have been some change. I'll give you 5 years. Give you 5 years, something should have changed a little bit. Something should have clicked and,
Yeah,
got you to involve in some type of manner within 5 years, definitely. You
definitely.
know, but
Um,
yeah.
again, going back to how leaders help make the simple complex or how to make the
Mm-hmm.
complex simple.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you brought up the razor with the how do you pronounce it?
I can raisin.
The
I
Occam
can
razor.
raisin. Yeah,
So
exactly.
I never really heard of it phrased that way. I've always
Mm-hmm.
heard like the statement around like the right answer is usually the simplest answer. I've
Okay.
heard that phrase before, but I haven't never heard of the Occam razor.
Occam's razor. Yeah.
Occam's razor.
That's going through my philosophy studies. That's part of philosophy. It basically says the simple way is can be the easiest way. That's basically what it was or whatever. Probably somebody I can't I don't want to freestyle loud at the top. Go look that up, people. Um, it's from man, it's probably somebody named Akin.
Yeah. How do you spell it again? I think I'm
uh yeah, I would have to look it up completely. I know they say you shouldn't say words, you can't spell them, but life happens different for me.
got
I got a U in spelling in third grade, so excuse me.
you still remember the third grade?
That's the only look. That's the only time I got a U in my life. So I
It stuck
remember
with you.
stuck with
Oh
that
man.
red.
Oh man. I got
Yeah.
OCCAM
Mhm.
razor or Occam's apostrophe S
Yeah,
Occam's
Occam's razor. Yeah,
Occam's razor.
it's a
OCCAM.
philosophy term.
Yeah.
Yeah, so check
But I
that
think
out. Mm.
I think that's dope because it like again, we could overcook this where it says like, hey man, it's cold in here. Like it's cold in the room. I
Hmm.
wonder what's going on. I think do I have a thin blood right now? Or is
Hmm.
it, what I'm saying? Like what's going the window's open.
Yes,
Yo,
exactly.
the window's open.
It's
There's nothing wrong with
breathing.
you. The window's open.
Exactly. The air
Like,
conditioner's on. It's on 30 right now. Cut the heat on.
am I dying right now? Do I have anemia? Am I anemic? The AC is on. Like it's cold.
That's
That's
all it
all.
is. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So
And
we
so the
need to
same
actually
thing.
try to find those things. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And so some of the things around like ritual proficiency, for example. So
Hmm.
like why don't we know? Like we're not studying. Like what are we making it overcomplicating this thing? Like
Yeah.
they're not studying it. All right, well, why are they not studying it? Well, that could be a little more complicated. But
Yeah. I mean, that's all come down to personal reasons and stuff like that or whatever. We
yeah.
all know we should be doing it, and brothers don't take the time to do it. A lot of the times, again, they're just not handling their working tools properly. The first tool that we get, that
Hmm.
24-inch gauge, and actually caring about it enough. Because I always say, 10 minutes, if brothers study 10 minutes a day, they'd
Micro
be,
goals.
they'd be far ahead of the game than a lot of people.
Yeah.
Especially once you even if, like, once you pass the chair, or you may not necessarily want to be on leadership or things like that. 10 minutes a day will make you a great knowledgeable Mason.
Again, that's another simple answer.
Hmm.
Consistency.
Hmm.
Doing something consistent over time, no matter how big or small it is. Just do it consistently. That water drop every
Hmm.
day.
Will
Tear
erode a mountain eventually through years.
exactly. So
Exactly.
just stay consistent in that space. Also, the trestle board is a huge piece too. Like as a master, having that trestle board provides that clarity. So the lodge could be going through all types of things prior to you getting into the seat or even while you're in the seat, but being able to have a clear trestle board around what are you trying to accomplish during the time that you are in that seat, and then being able to communicate that clearly to the brothers present could only help, I think. Either they're going to eat it up, they're going to say, no, this is not what we want to do, and let's do something else, or they're going to say, absolutely, this is what I understand it, I'm with it, I'm flying with it. But that trust board and being able to communicate that is super important. Sometimes I think the trust board doesn't get as much attention as it probably should get. And then sometimes people think the trust board is a calendar.
Yeah.
It is not. It's not just the calendar. It's like, what are you trying to accomplish this year, and not just the activities that you want to like do. What are your goals? Who's going to be leading
It's the
these things?
blueprint.
It's
It's
the
the
blueprint.
blueprint for the year. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
So a blueprint ain't just, a calendar. It's actually telling you how to design and build this house. And this is how we're gonna build this house this year. So
yeah,
that's what it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
help me build this thing.
Yeah,
Help me
yeah.
build this. This is my vision. Y'all elected me to have some vision here to lead the
Hmm.
lodge. This is my
Hmm.
vision. Let me
Yeah.
know if my plans aren't don't
Hmm.
align with what you thought they should be.
Yeah. However we want to word it, as worship master, everybody had their year or something. So I'm gonna add this year, we're gonna add this floor to the building.
Hmm.
This is Mark Alexander's year. So these two floors. What
Hmm.
exactly did you put into the building during your years as worshipful master? How did you help? Or even if you ain't build, maybe some people don't build the building. They might go back like my past master just went. Boyce's thing was about foundation rebuilding or securing it up basically. So they secure back the foundation. So that was on this trestle board. How to
Hmm.
get back into those pillars and make sure that we work on things like that. So yeah, that's what it did. It definitely is, and it can provide clarity and make things more simple if you just do apply those things. Definitely, I agree,
Yeah,
1,000%.
yeah. I would be remiss if I didn't just sort of throw a little bit of financial stuff in here as well too. Like another thing that we kind of over engineer is
Mm-hmm.
financial stability and why are we in the financial state we in, or even individually we may over analyze, overthink this. And I'm not a financial analyst, I'm not a financial advisor in here, but just the Matt Wagstaff simple version of financial management is you need to do one of two things in order to help improve your financial stability. You either need to earn more or spend less, period.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
So, like, let's not overcomplicate this here. Like, all right,
Exactly.
how much are you bringing in? All right, you either need to make more, either through investment or whatever. Like the how is later,
Mm-hmm.
or get more skills, or spend less. You might just be just spending too much money,
Mm-hmm.
and then, so those that's another just a simple way to answer a question that has a lot to go underneath that. Now, I don't want to act like it can't get complicated in terms of the how. It's going to
Yeah.
definitely take some consistency, some discipline, some time.
Mm-hmm.
But the answer is either you earn more, and how do you earn more? It can go down a lot of different spaces, or you spend less. And the same thing for a lodge. It's like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, why are we in the financial situation we're in? Well, if brothers are not paying dues or we're not doing fundraisers, we don't have revenue.
And
You
that's
know,
it.
that's
Mm-hmm.
just that just is what it is. And if like
Yeah.
we have high bills,
Mm-hmm.
if we get bank fees and all sort of things that we putting out so much extra money doing
Mm-hmm.
extra scholarships trying to look good for the public when we may not have it at that moment. Maybe that might be something you may want to reconsider during a certain period of time, or
Definitely.
again raise more money. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's again, we don't need to overcook this, coming up with all types of strategic, simple, weird ways to try to
Yeah, yeah,
answer this
yeah.
question. Either make more lodge or spend less. And sometimes you
And
can't
like
spend less, so you got to make more.
definitely. I was gonna say on the think about it from a social aspect, as we always talking about how brothers need to know each other, right? Social in order to know each other, it don't have to be nothing hard. We ain't gotta have the most complex hangout. We ain't all gotta go to a banquet hall or anything like
Mm,
that. It's like bro, what you doing? Can I go hang out with you? You can go get some coffee, go to the park, or
mm,
keep it real simple. Call the brother on the phone. It's not hard at all to get to know your brothers, to build the social bonds in your lodge. You can keep that very simple, um, and those are something that definitely you could stress the simple over the complex, and you can go much further with that. Most of the times, a lot of those things might not cost you a penny, you or your brother or something like, depending on how far you are. The most it might be gas or something like that,
mm.
but we don't even barely count that most of the time. But yeah, that's how you could definitely stress the simple over the more complex and the social aspect to help build your lodge, know each other, and that's extremely important for leadership and for your lodge health. Period.
Yep. Yep. Just simple, small, simple acts done every single day consistently can lead to a world of a change for sure. It was something I wanted to say too about that. Is a lot of the stuff is because it's easy or simple.
Hmm.
It makes it a little difficult. Like if because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. So I just want to make that distinction because if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Hmm.
Um, but it's a simple answer. Study. It's a simple answer. Pick up the phone and call. But you get caught up in all these other distractions and things coming up. Life is life, and just a lot of things that could get in the way. Excuses can pop up a lot.
I ain't
So I'm
say
not gonna
some
say it's easy.
excuses. Yeah, sometimes it's like you personally. We need to grow past some points or whatever. Everybody ain't on the same level sometimes. Um, Cold calling people that you don't know, even though they are your brothers. I ain't gonna say that's easy for some people.
Right,
It
right,
might be
right.
kind of hard, and but that is also a way of making yourself better by
Mhm.
doing those type of things.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes,
Hmm.
yeah.
So.
Challenge yourself. One goal, like past Grandmaster Smith would say,
Hmm.
like 1% better, right?
Hmm.
Just even every year, like have one development goal for yourself. Like this year, I'm gonna get out of my shell and I'm gonna do a lecture. I'm gonna call this brother that I spoke to before. I'm gonna attend the sisters function. I'm gonna get outside of my comfort zone in one way
Yeah.
every
Hmm.
year.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
do
that'd
that
be
for
dope.
20 years, you got 20 new things that you learned over that course.
And then you know what you like, you know what you dislike, you know how to actually what you can get out this craft, what you enjoy, how further in you want to go on certain things, because the craft is vast, and the only way you really gonna know if you actually dive in and try some things. So get out there and try them. I know I put a challenge out to our jurisdiction on some things they can do over the summer. I consider as challenges. One of them was call every brother in your lodge. If I really do truly believe if every brother talked to every brother within their own laws, this fraternity be even more stronger.
Mm,
Um, you know, read some of the ritual and have a Masonic discussion with one of your brothers. Do that so you could learn each other a little bit better. Um, there's a few things you can do as far as that, but try something over the summer when we usually be kind of lighter. To like Matt said, go outside that comfort zone, grow a little bit so you can come back in September refreshed, renewed, and ready to rock and roll to make yourselves, your lodge, and your family and everybody else great.
definitely. Say wisdom dwells in contemplation. I would say think about if you are struggling with calling the brothers of your lodge that you may not even know, like why is that? And like
Yes.
just sit down for a minute and be like, why do I not want to call this brother? Or why, what is it about? What is it about me, or is it about what's going on that makes me not want to call or feel anxious about
Hmm.
calling it? What am I afraid of in that situation?
I can't front because I know I still go through it. Sometimes it's harder. So
100%.
yeah, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
I ain't
But
gonna
sometimes it's
deny it.
like what are we gonna talk about? You sometimes you think if I
Hmm.
pick up the phone instead of
Yeah.
texting, if I pick up the phone, I need to be on the phone for an hour.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
no,
Yeah,
a 2 minute
exactly.
phone call is just as fine, just as good. Like we ain't gotta
Exactly.
be on here all day. Again, we don't gotta overcomplicate this. Just pick up the phone, say, hey brother, I was thinking about you today. You may
Hmm.
not have never met before. I'm brother
Hmm.
Matthew Wagstaff.
Hmm.
I was just thinking about you today, brother. That's all. And then see what they say. They say, great brother, nice to talk to you. And
Man,
then
hang up.
bye.
Yeah, exactly. You did your part. That's it. That's all that matters. Remember, you can only control yourself. So what comes back to you is a whole nother thing. But if you stepped out that comfort zone, you know, if it was you was a teenager and you was trying to get that girl, you wouldn't go, you do it. You would force yourself to do it. So do the same thing with your brothers.
Mm.
You
Go back to
know?
that teenage love vibe right there. Bring that out there. Okay, okay. So we got at least two challenges right now. We got call every brother in your lodge, man. That's
I
call
mean,
every
I don't know.
one
Yeah,
brother a
we'll
day.
say, yeah. I mean, I ain't gonna say however you want to do it. Some lodges have 300 members. You can eventually do that throughout whatever a couple of years if you want. However you do it, but I think you personally should have some type of connection with every brother in your lodge. I mean, it's a couple of brothers I can't have a conversation with in my lodge because this I got high political people in my lodge, so I ain't got his number.
Yeah, step one, get phone numbers.
But anyway, if you can have that conversation with as much brothers as you can, do that. Definitely,
Yeah.
especially if you're trying to be on your line. If you're trying to be an officer on your lodge, you should definitely be very aware of every member of your lodge, what's going on, how's everybody doing, their families, man, their jobs. They give you another reason. You'll know why people ain't coming out you know. And then maybe there's something you can address now. Say, like if you already say you're the junior deacon now and you're doing these conversations with your brothers and you see like, all right, this past mass ain't coming out, then you talk to him for a while and maybe you can help him come out or see why he ain't coming out or get him to come out just one meeting or whatever, something to that nature. But whoever it is, work on it for now so that your future be better. Because that's all we
Mm,
can do at this point. Because now it's over. Now it's done.
mm.
The
It's all about the
is a
yeah.
whole nother philosophical conversation that I brought up for myself that I'm working through in my head about like the best you can. We're doing our best now.
Mm,
At the present moment, no matter what, you're doing your best. You
mm.
work to be better, and you could do better, but right now, this is the best you're doing. That's you're doing it.
You're doing
You're
it.
doing it.
That's a quick that's yeah, that's deep. We can go down that path. That's a whole nother episode. We can talk about that right now. For sure. For sure. I just want to add another suggestion to what you just said about you get to know why brothers aren't coming out, or you
Mhm.
could dive a little bit deeper in those conversations. I would say that if you're listening to us right now and you hear that and it makes you kind of like hesitant to make the phone call. He's like, nah, I gotta have this long conversation with his brother. I don't know. Yeah, I gotta ask him why. You don't have to ask anything. I would say
Mhm.
be intentional about the conversation. So let's say you got a list of 80 brothers in your lodge. You may say, okay, for the first 10, just to get me warmed up, all I want to do is just call them, let them know what my name is, let them know I was thinking about them, and ask them how their day was. And then that's the goal, like is to do those three things. And if we
Mhm.
go past that, that's icing on the cake. So you may want to be a little bit more strategic is the word, or intentional about your
Okay.
plan, your process to do
Mhm.
it. Make it even simpler for you. And say, hey, all I want to do is pick up the phone, call Mark, say, hey, Mark, this is Brother Wagstaff. I was thinking about you today. Hope you're doing all right.
Mhm.
And that's it. Leave it at that. That goal accomplished.
Yep. And I guarantee you, every lodge got that talkative brother. So
Oh
you're gonna
yeah.
call some brother and you're gonna be on the phone for an hour.
Then that's enough. See, now you scared him away again, Mark.
No,
So
no,
now,
I'm just
now it's
saying
like,
he's gonna try to keep you on the phone for an hour. If you got things to do, you can do whatever you want, but he's
yeah,
gonna be doing most of the talking, and you're gonna make him feel so good
yeah, yeah. That
just from
part.
having that conversation. And
That part.
you just gonna be sitting there listening.
Yep. Hopefully you listening. Make sure y'all
Yeah,
listening now.
make
Make
sure
sure
you
you listen.
listen. Yeah, get all that in. It did. Yeah, you're gonna make that brother feel so good for reaching out. I know
Yeah.
what happened. It happened to me kind of recently for somebody in my purple house. I reached
Mhm.
out to, and I let him talk.
Yeah.
80-year-old man. I appreciate all his experiences he had. He said he's an Army Ranger and everything back in the days and everything.
Mm,
So I definitely enjoyed that phone call. And I need to call him again because that was a couple of months ago. So let me call him again.
yeah. And if you're worried about that too, just set the expectation up front. Like, hey, brother Alexander, this is brother
Yep.
Wagstaff. Hey,
Hmm.
I only have about 5 minutes.
Minutes.
I'm
Yep.
getting ready to do
Hmm.
something real quick. I got 5 minutes, but you can't use on my mind. I just wanted to say, hope you're doing all right. That's all. And
Yep.
then, go from there. At least set the expectation. There's always a way to kind of just make things a little bit more intentional and simple. If you want to make it complex, you can make it complex, or you can keep it simple. And so,
Yep. Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
that's that's basically all. That's all we wanted to chat
That's
about
a,
today.
yeah,
You got
that's
anything
it.
else you want to chat about?
Nah, nah, I'm good. I'm glad to be back a little bit. Yeah, we did have a guest this evening, but he had a power issues at his house, so we'll reschedule with that good brother very soon. And we do have a lineup for next coming week, so he's gonna get it rocking and rolling again.
Definitely. If you couple things in the chat, if you're on YouTube, definitely put some more suggestions out there about brothers who are past masters or worshipful masters that you think would be good guests on the show. And then also, um, tell us some stories too. Like if there's some things at your lodge or you may be overcomplicating,
Hmm.
that could be made simpler. It'd be great to be able to hear some of those stories too. Um,
Look, like
we all go through it.
like I was on Doric's study class a second ago. Make it vague. Don't tell everybody. Don't tell all your large business. Just make it very vague. Whatever you're
Yeah,
talking.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
I don't want to know. I don't want brothers to take anything offensive or anything to that nature. So just make it vague.
Yeah, yeah. Hypothetically,
Yeah,
this was a
yeah,
situation,
exactly. Hmm. Definitely.
and
Mm.
it's just a matter of just helping us all learn together too. So the more that you share in the comments and stories about the things we talk about, we can all learn together and grow together. So that's basically the key there. So
Yep, yep.
that's it. That's it. That's the episode. That's the show for tonight. Continue to like the show, subscribe, share with anybody. Share this with somebody who's making things too complicated back in your lives or in your life, and see what they think about the conversation. Try to figure out ways you can make life simpler. It's a complex world out there, but we can try to make it simple as best we can too. We don't need to overcomplicate everything.
Exactly.
So
How you eat elephant? One bite at a time.
one bite at a time, one bite at a time. So with that, appreciate you giving us your most valuable resource, your time. We always say that the world needs leaders, and in order to be a leader, you must first know how to lead yourself. And so please take the information we give, try to apply it to your life, share it with as many people as possible who you think will receive value. And to the next episode, God bless.